Shirley Jackson's here from Channel 5. She's with us every morning. Kat Neville from Feastcom magazine, newspaper, radio, TV, star of stage and screen, just back from New York. Anything anything big happen in New York we should know about?
It was a fantastic party, but we didn't win. Both Kevin Nashin of Sydney Street and Gerard Kraft of Kraft Restaurants Limited, Niche in particular, for this award, I believe. They were both nominated. They were finalists.
They're like Susan Lucci. They're nominated every year and don't win.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, so last year, Colby Geraltz from Blue Stem in Kansas City won, and he was up, I believe, 8 or 9 times in a row before he won. So it's not unusual for someone to be nominated over and over and over again. So St. Louis, do not lose hope.
Okay. We're talking James Beard.
Yes, the James Beard Awards. Gotcha. Exactly right.
Okay. And before we get to the restaurants and the wine issue of Feast magazine, you gave a talk on aphrodisiacs.
I did.
Yes.
Yes, for the Opera Theater of St. Louis, they have what's called the Spotlight series, where they have, like, if you've not been to the opera, by the way, ladies and gentlemen of the audience, you have got to go to Opera Theater of St. Louis and experience it. It's incredible, and they only have a 6-week window for their season. It starts at the end of this month. Anyway, so there's one of the operas that they're putting on is called The Elixir of Love. And so in this story, this guy from essentially like a snake oil salesman, he's in love with this woman. He wants to woo her, but she won't have anything to do with him. So he believes if he finds this elixir of love that he will. So anyway, the guy gives him a fake one, sells him like essentially a bottle of wine. He drinks the wine, but he believes that it's the power of the aphrodisiac, the belief. So I give a talk about 10, 15 minutes on the history of aphrodisiacs, and it was fun.
And what did the Romans do?
Okay. Oh, God, you're going to make me say this on the air. Okay, so the Romans, one of the things that they believed had aphrodisiac powers was anything that gave you flatulence. Right.
So draft beer was an aphrodisiac.
Garlic, these things, yes. Because the wind, I'm not going to go beyond that, but they believed that the internal winds would assist.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
See that?
That is interesting.
Yeah, I know. I mean, sparrow tongues, anything that was rare. So, for example, in Europe, they believed that potatoes, things that we eat every day, were an aphrodisiac, white and sweet potatoes, because there were no potatoes in Europe until the people that colonized, came over to the U.S., not just the U.S., to the, this hemisphere, this side of the world, the new world, as it were. They brought back a lot of things like tomatoes, potatoes. So they believed that potatoes were an aphrodisiac because they were rare and they were new. And so it's the power of the mind.
So oysters came many years later.
Oysters?
Well, oysters, here's the thing. Oysters and other bivalves actually do have some scientific reason for their reputation as an aphrodisiac, because they have a lot of amino acids in their flesh that actually help to trigger the release of male and female sex hormones. So
the next time you happen to be winded, you can say you're trying to turn on your lady.
Trying to be
amorous. You can say that.
That's
I don't know if that would go very far.
It's an aphrodisiac.
Right.
That's what Kat Neville told me. That's all I know.
Yes.
All right. This segment is brought to you, as always, Jimmy's on the Park, 761 in Clayton, 725-8585, or Jimmy's Cafe. Jimmy serves Sunday brunch. Don't forget about that. 10 to 3, live music on the weekends as well. Jimmy'sCafe.com. All right, let's get to a couple restaurants.
Okay. So the first one that I want to talk about is, I don't know, have you guys heard that the Grand Hall in Union Station has been refurbished and relaunched as the first phase in kind of a re-envisioning of what Union Station can be? I've had a chance to go, and you should go. It is absolutely stunning. If you haven't been to the Grand Hall, since you were a kid or whatever, it's this unbelievable, structure. And Union Station played host to hundreds of thousands of people coming through in their trek to wherever they were going. St. Louis was a huge way station, and so in the style of so many grand train stations that were built at the beginning of the 20th century, the Union Station is stunning. And so not only do they now have just a really lovely wine list and beer list, cocktails that were all inspired by and named by all the different railroad lines that came through Union Station, but they have really terrific food. Right now, it's a pretty small menu, but it will be expanding as they kind of get their feet going. But when you sit there on the hour, every hour, there is a light show, which sounds like kind of a little bit cheesy, but bear with me. It's really stunning. What they've done is they've created this light and sound experience that enhances and plays off of the architecture of the Grand Hall. So it has a barrel vaulted ceiling, and then these Art Nouveau women on either side that are holding up these they're holding up essentially these flames, these torches.
Right.
And so as this music plays, all of these different like butterflies dance across the ceiling. You look as if you're like on the bottom of the ocean floor and watching, these sea creatures go above you. Things dance across. It's just absolutely beautiful. And then, so that goes for maybe 15 minutes or so, and everybody claps at the end because it's so spectacular. And then as just kind of the soundtrack of being in this bar area kind of continues to play, they still have these lights that dance across the ceiling in time with the music. It's very sophisticated. It's beautiful, and it's a way to enhance and interact with this architecture that is very exciting.
So it's a restaurant in the main hall,
Yeah, so it's a bar area. It's like there is a hotel. There's a functioning hotel there,
right.
And so the restaurant itself. I was speaking with some people when I was there, and they said that the restaurant itself is going to get a renovation beginning in like November. And then there's going to be some more stuff happening in like 2015. But the Grand Hall itself, it is a gorgeous bar. It's huge. I mean, it's with cush seating and gorgeous lighting, and the bar kind of expands the length of the windows that kind of overlook the retail area.
Right.
That's kind of the mall area, which the friend that I was there with, she said, we should turn, that part of Union Station into essentially like an eataly or something like that. Like it could be this grand food hall. I mean, it's this beautiful, beautiful space, and it's exciting to see it repurposed because it is, St. Louis is home to so much beautiful and meaningful architecture.
Right.
And we need to celebrate it ourselves. We need to be in there.
Well, that is such a historic building. All the troops coming and going from World War II, and Harry Truman's, Dewey Beats Truman picture was taken in Union Station.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
That was as he was getting off the train in Union Station, they handed him the Chicago Tribune that said Dewey Beats Truman, and that iconic picture was taken in that building.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Right.
Yeah, it's wonderful, and the food's terrific, by the way. There's like pork belly on cheesy grits with this wonderful reduction. They have their own version of toasted ravioli that's filled with braised beef with a tomato and olive. There's, they have like these, this wonderful kind of like mini Reubens on companion pretzel bread, and just really, really great.
All
great
right,
food.
good. All right, Union Station. What's number 2?
Number 2 is not a restaurant. It's a concept that I want to talk to you guys about. I yesterday went to essentially the launch of the Great Rivers Market Fresh Network, which is a mouthful, but it's in Alton. And what is happening is the Alton Business District and the people in Godfrey, they're joining together to create a food hub, which will allow farmers in the area to kind of not just in the way of a farmer's market, but truly in the way throughout the entire year. They want to have a single place where you can go and purchase food directly from local farmers. And their vision is to help to get these fresh local foods, which help to create the flavor of where you are, into restaurants, into grocery stores, into individuals' homes. They're going to have a grocery store in a retail area in the front of this building that they're rehabbing on Ridge Street. And they see this public-private partnership as a way to help create and sustain kind of the new economy. The economy is shifting. It's no longer a manufacturing economy. We still have some people, some companies that are doing that. But it's really exciting to see that they understand that helping to nurture success in the food economy will help to create not only tourism in that area, but also create jobs that are sustainable and help to foster this kind of artistic, creative economy, which is something that helps to attract and retain residents as well.
So you'd be able to go there, buy some farm fresh eggs or some chicken or a couple steaks or something.
The food hub itself really is something that's for the people that live in the Alton area. But again, it's meant to also dispense those foods to local chefs, so that they are using the food from the farmers that are producing in the area. So the farmers are more economically impacted. But then the chefs are using better food, more local food. It helps to create the sense of the flavor of where you are. So, I mean, whether you're in Alton or if you're in Santa Fe, New Mexico, or if you're in Washington State, you want to taste the food of the region. You don't want to taste something that was trucked in from wherever and everybody eats that same food. That's boring. It's not what creates a sense of place. So the Great Rivers Market Fresh Network, they're just launching it, and what I'm excited about is that they see the importance and the potential in that public-private, partnership that will help to, like I said, create and sustain this type of economy, because really that's where the jobs are happening. When people are opening up small bakeries, and they're using the farmer down the street who is growing strawberries, they buy the strawberries from that farmer. They have their small business. They pay taxes locally. I mean, it's a sustainable
Is this
economic
thing
model.
open yet, or is it just getting started?
They're just getting started, but they do have possession of the building. They've already started the build out. Like I said, it's on Ridge Street, and which is very close. It's right in the middle of essentially downtown Alton. And if you haven't been to Alton, you need to get over there.
Yeah, it's a fun day trip.
It's very cool. And the farmers,
quarter of a day trip or something.
Exactly.
Depending on where you are.
And people that listen to KTRS live in Alton.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's within earshot.
Right.
And then the farmers market is going to be on the casino parking lot. So it's actually pretty close.
Yeah.
So.
All right. I picked up the wine issue. I thought it was all about John Carney, but it turns out it's about drinking wine.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Not just the wine or John Carney.
And speaking of local economy, the Missouri and Illinois wine industries contribute massively to our local economies, not only through tourism, but also through the taxes that are generated by the sale of the wine, all of the people that are employed by the industry. And our local wine is delicious. And we talk about over at Les Bourgeois, which is in the middle of the state near Columbia. They have created a wine on tap program. So most wines are not meant to be aged. We have this idea that you're supposed to put wine down for 10, 15, 20 years, and many wines are designed to be aged and improve with age. But most wines made throughout the world are meant to be drunk, when they're released. That's when they're best. And so, so this wine on tap program is environmentally responsible because these kegs, essentially, there is no waste. So rather than filling a bunch of glass bottles, shipping a bunch of glass bottles, throwing away or recycling a bunch of glass bottles, these kegs are filled, they are emptied, and then they are sent back to be refilled, cleaned and refilled. It is a totally sustainable thing. And here's the thing, when you have wine on tap, kind of like beer on tap, that wine is not exposed to air when you open up a bottle. And so the wine itself stays fresher, and it maintains the quality level of the wine. So Les Bourgeois wines they're fantastic wines. They have a couple of they have whites and reds on tap, and you can find them here in St. Louis at The Tap out in St. Charles County. I believe it's near Newtown, and then it's also downtown at now I'm blanking. I'll email. I'll tell you off there. And so there are places, and it's also obviously in the issue. But so there's a lot of really innovative stuff that's happening in our wine industry. Beside the fact that it's just amazing stuff.
This is
it makes sense doing it on tap, though.
It does.
More and more places will.
They're all great issues, but this is.
I love it.
Yeah.
I mean, and
beautiful
it's
cover too.
That cover is there are state grape, which is the Norton grape, and that is from the Stonehill Winery Norton Harvest, which they're in Herman. I'm heading to Herman this weekend, actually, and those are all hand harvested grapes.
How about that?
Yeah.
FeastSTL.com. Pick it up at your local newsstand. Feast magazine publisher Kat Neville. Thanks for checking in.
Thank you.
You got it. By the way, tapped wine is an aphrodisiac. So I've heard.
Well, alcohol actually is an aphrodisiac.
Yeah, that's how half of us are here.
Yeah.
Because of alcohol. 8:53, Big 550 KTRS. Bertarelli Cutlery sponsors Kat Neville and Feast Magazine. Keeping St. Louis sharp since 1967. Bertarelli is your one-stop shop for knife and tool sharpening, along with all of your kitchen supplies. Visit them at 1927 Marconi on the Hill or at bertarellicutlery.com.